Commissioner Harden.
Here.
Okay. Next item is approval of the minutes of the April 21st, 2021 commission meeting. We have a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 1st, 2021 meeting.
Terry, I'm going to abstain because I wasn't present.
Okay, then I'll second it, I guess, if that's procedurally possible. Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle, absent by prior arrangement, and Commissioner Harden.
Abstain.
Okay, so we'll consider the April minutes approved. And then we're on item number 3, public expression. This is an opportunity for the public to address the commission on matters not listed on this agenda. Individuals wishing to address the commission under public expression are welcome to do so via email, Zoom, or voicemail message. For information on each of these methods, please visit, and then there's a major link. But I guess we have no public expression. Okay. The next item is number 4, employee organization. The agenda item is to be used for employee organization representatives to present information / requests to the Civil Service Commission. I see Patrick here. Did you want to speak at this time?
I've got some comments to make regarding a few of the job description changes, so I can just speak when those come up on the agenda. I don't have
Okay.
anything else besides that.
All right, sounds good. So that means we can go to closed session, which we don't have any kind of closed session for this meeting that I know of. We just got a lot of specs. So that moves us, let's see, where does that move us to? That moves us to classification 6A, retirement classification study.
Thank you. Yes. Good afternoon. Johnny Cranmer, Human Resources Manager. I'm going to try not to read this word for word because I think it's kind of long and would get boring. So bear with me if I fumble along a little. The Mendocino County Employees Retirement Association had submitted a request for a classification study of the entire department. Due to the small size of the MSERA, which consists of 5 staff, the classification specs must include the performance of not only retirement benefits duties, but departmental administrative and clerical tasks and the assignment of special projects. Otherwise, they don't have enough people to spread the work around. So what we found about the administrative assistant is, although her job was designed to perform the clerical aspects of the department, and she does that, in addition, she also handles the disability retirement issues, which are very complex and not really in her job description. And the duties that she does do that are related to retirement are of a higher level than the administrative assistant. So we believe the administrative assistant is not classified correctly, as they do need her to perform retirement duties in addition to clerical duties. So the current class specs for retirement specialist 1 and 2 do not address the performance of a variety of clerical duties and administrative duties and doing special assignments. And so in order for the department to be flexible, given its small size, The class specs must have been modified to include the performance of administrative and clerical tasks that can be assigned as needed for special projects or as regular assignments. The incumbent retirement specialist 2 is found to be performing a variety of complex tasks and special projects that appear to be above the journey level retirement specialist 2 classification, and therefore is not classified correctly. The senior retirement specialist classification addresses the performance of more complex, higher level work in a lead capacity. Again, because of the small size of the department, it is believed that the department would benefit more from having an advanced journey level position and multiple positions of that rather than one senior incumbent who acts as a lead. So the proposed classification of retirement specialist 3 has been developed and is recommended to address the performance of the most complex retirement administrative clerical duties without being a lead worker. And it is recommended that the 1 administrative assistant and the 1 retirement specialist 2 be reclassified to the new classification of retirement specialist 3. So then we discovered that the incumbent senior retirement specialist performs tasks related to retirement benefits and other department activities. And while she does perform in a lead capacity, she also performs a variety of higher level analytical tasks in support of the executive director and the financial investment officer that are not addressed in the classification of senior retirement specialists. So the proposed classification of retirement analyst has been prepared and is recommended for adoption, along with the reclassification of the current senior to retirement analyst. It is further recommended that the senior retirement specialist classification be abolished. The Retirement Association Financial Investment Officer, which is a very long name, while it is believed that the incumbent Retirement Association Financial Investment Officer is classified correctly, what the study revealed is since the classification was developed in 2012, there have been a lot of other duties that have been assigned, such as responsibility for budget development and other fiscal related tasks. And these are not addressed in the class spec. Additionally, the level of authority of the retirement investment officer to financially and contractually bind MSERA is not adequately expressed in the class spec. So we've made modifications to the class spec that address the additional duties, the level of authority, and we're recommending a title change to take out the word association and to take out the slash between financial and investment for a smoother reading title of Retirement Financial Investment Officer. So the recommendations we recommend that the commission adopt modifications to retirement specialists 1 and 2, adopt the new classifications of retirement specialist and retirement analyst, adopt proposed modifications to the Retirement Association Financial Investment Officer, and adopt the title change to Retirement Financial Investment Officer. And that we recommend that you abolish the senior retirement specialist classification. And then we further recommend that 3 positions and 3 incumbent staff be reclassified as follows: 1 administrative assistant to retirement specialist 3, 1 retirement specialist 2 to retirement specialist 3, and 1 senior retirement specialist to retirement analyst. That is the end of my report. I know that Ms. Doris Rentschler, the Executive Director of Retirement, is here if you have questions, and some of the staff may be here to speak to the item as well.
Well, this is a lot to keep track of for me. I would appreciate it if you could kind of go through what you just did and we do one item at a time, like do the upgrade of the specialist 1 and 2 first, maybe, and then adopting the 3 and something like that. So We
I can do that. In fact, I did the bullets this way because I thought it might be a little bit easier for all of us to keep track of what we want done if I did the little bullets on the recommendations. This is
Right.
different than I normally do it.
Can I ask another way? Well, before you get into that, can you tell us, there's 5 people in the department currently. Can you tell us what their specifications are currently? What do we have currently?
There's an executive director. There's the retirement financial investment officer. There's an administrative assistant. There is 1 retirement specialist 2 and 1 senior retirement specialist.
Okay. And what you're talking about is going to, what would those 5 positions, the admin assistant would be retirement specialist 3,
Yes,
retirement specialist 2 would be retirement specialist 3,
yes,
executive director would stay the same. The finance/investment officer would just be financial investment officer. Yes? Is that right?
yes. And the senior retirement specialist would be a retirement analyst.
Retirement analyst. Okay. So I'm a little confused if there wouldn't be any retirement specialists 1 or 2. So how could someone, I mean, I don't know what the experience is of the people in these current positions, but what happens to retirement specialists 1 and 2?
The classifications still exist, but the department, because of their current staff have all been here for many years, would qualify at the levels that we're recommending they be reclassified to. The department would then, as they add positions later, or maybe as they lose incumbents, would be able to fill the positions at the 1, 2, or 3 level. And, you know, theoretically, we always hope that we can find the most qualified candidates, but oftentimes we have to grow our own and hire them as a 1 and go through that process with them to be able to get them up to the 2. And then ideally, we have a level of work and they have the expertise to eventually become a 3.
So this is prompted by the fact that these employees have a lot of background in these positions. They're not, that they've been in these positions for quite a while.
Well, what
Yeah.
the recommendations prompt, their experience is prompted by, or the recommendation matches their experience level, but the study itself was prompted by just the concept of having a retirement specialist that's supposed to do this retirement work and an admin assistant that's supposed to do this admin work, and needing to really be able to be more flexible and using the people in a more flexible way where they could do retirement assignments or they could be assigned clerical tasks.
So what could the retirement analyst do that the senior retirement specialist wouldn't do?
The senior retirement specialist's class spec does not currently reflect the analytical support work she does for the financial and the investment side and in support of the executive director. She does actuarial work, helps with that, and collects other data for their various reporting throughout the year.
It just seems, okay, it just seems like a huge reclassification to go from an administrative assistant to a retirement specialist 3. That seems, I mean, that's kind of like from the entry level admin assistant to what did it say? It said, an advanced journey level retirement specialist.
The
That
admin,
seems like,
excuse me, I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
admin assistant is not an entry-level position. It's a highly
Oh.
responsible, upper-level clerical position that that was also performing some of the most complex retirement work being done in the office.
May I make a comment that might help clarify that?
Please.
The administrative assistant actually was a retirement specialist for a number of years. They split it thinking they would assign her support for my position and for our board of retirement, but then never actually fully moved her out of doing benefit calculations. And she has continued to serve as a retirement specialist in certain functions, especially the disability arena, all during the time she handled the administrative items for myself and the board.
are you able to give like a rough percentage of her time spent doing disability retirement?
We have a large project undergoing currently with the Internal Revenue Service, and she is actively engaged and has been for at least the last 2 years in auditing accounts and doing recalculations of benefits, even outside of disability retirement. So although we may only process a handful of disability applications in a given year, she's never moved out of the benefits arena because of this IRS project and the volume of work we have going on and the level of staffing that the system has.
And is the IRS project expected to continue indefinitely?
It will go on, I would expect, for at least another year. And with her position, not only has she been responsible for doing retirement specialist work, she's provides backup to our investment officer and can make certain transactions with our custodial bank. She has a fair amount of responsibility for that position, in addition to the administrative assistant duties, which include running our board meetings and support of our 10-member board and all of the administrative duties assigned. I would like to be able to have more flexibility in assigning some of those administrative and clerical duties to all of the staff, since she is also providing retirement specialist work.
Also, Sherry, I just looked at her position description that she filled out when we started this study. It looks like she spends approximately 30% of her time performing retirement duties, benefits calculation duties that are really above the job that she has right now as an admin assistant.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And I understand, having worked in a system, you know, in a business department of a government organization, I understand that, you know, wanting the flexibility. And so let's just call them, you know, both retirement specialist 3. It just seems, I guess I just have a hard time going from administrative assistant.
Well, I guess as she is, she's really being worked out of class in some regard because of the amount of benefit work that she's doing, and has done since they created the administrative assistant position for her, but then never took away the benefit calculations from her task list.
So is it feasible to make her, like, you know, half an admin assistant and half a retirement specialist one or two? I just, I don't, it, I don't know. I mean, I understand she's done some retirement specialist work, but my thinking is, you know, 1, 2, and 3. 3 would be the most senior, and it just seems a little odd to move her to the most senior retirement specialist classification, that's all. And I understand it gives you flexibility, that I get. I don't know, that's my 2 bits. What do you think, Marilyn or Terry? I'm the only one talking here.
Johnny, did you have a comment?
I just wanted to say, Commissioner Ebian, when you have a very small department, sometimes you have to get creative about how you're going to get the work done. And so when you have an admin assistant and you find yourself needing to assign them the same level of duties that your other staff are doing, then the next thought process is to take out the senior level and make it a 3, an advanced journey level, and be able to spread your administrative tasks and your special projects around a bit. And it gives you that flexibility that you might not be able to have a 6th position that, and it could end up almost seeming like it's a luxury to have people that have these pockets that they only perform. And the smaller your department, kind of the more bound you are to, having to be able to be flexible with your staff. And the thought process was that having an advanced journey level to be able to assign the highest level clerical, administrative, and the highest level retirement duties would better serve the department than having a high level clerical position and a lead worker who.
No, okay, yeah, I understand that. So then my last question is, what would be the cost to the county to do this?
We are self-funded through the retirement trust, and we have no general fund effect.
You're self-funded through the retirement trust?
All of our expenses are charged against the fund, the retirement fund, and we do not have a general fund cost to the county.
So who funds the retirement fund?
Well, all of our plan sponsors, and the county is certainly one of those, but it's also our investment earnings, and the courts and our special districts. All of those contribute funds to the retirement system, which we invest. And it's the trust that actually pays the system's administrative expenses, including salary.
So do you foresee the contribution from the county's portion having to increase as a result of this reclassification?
No. In the scheme of things, the change in salary that may occur would be small enough that this would not move the needle on the employer contributions to the plan.
Okay.
As far as a percentage of payroll, which is how it's expressed.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I think maybe we should have a motion to modify as presented the specs for 1 and 2.
Harry,
Marilyn?
if we're looking at these specs for 1 and 2, I just have one tiny question. And I guess this is just in conformance with a lot of other positions, but I noticed that the incumbents are expected to promote to the journey level within, it used to be 1 to 2 years. Are you just kind of clarifying and making it, 1 year so they don't need 2 years?
It is set at 1 year. That sort of seemed to be the standard as we researched all around what other agencies have. And, there is probation period. And so if you had an employee that needed more than a year, the department would have the ability to come to the commission to extend the probation if the department felt that that was what was needed.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion?
I'll move, Terry.
Okay.
I'll
Second,
second. I'll
Okay.
second.
it's been moved and seconded that we accept the modifications to the retirement specialist 1 and 2 as presented. All roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle, absent by prior arrangement, Commissioner Harden,
Aye.
Okay, it's been unanimously passed to modify those specifications for those positions. So next we could adopt the specification for the retirement specialist 3. Marilyn?
Just have another little small thing, and that is down at the first page there. It says next to the last, it says provide support to the financial/investment officer. I just was saying that to be consistent with the other, it should maybe perhaps be financial investment officer, small, but my only observation.
Noted.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move that we, it sounds like rename the Retirement Association Financial/Investment Officer to Financial Investment Officer or Retirement Financial Investment Officer.
Actually, right now, we're adopting the specification for the retirement specialist 3.
Okay, I lost my place. Then I move that we adopt the senior retirement specialist to retirement analyst.
I'll second with the small correction.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting the specification of retirement specialist 3? Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle, absent by prior arrangement, Commissioner Harden,
Aye.
Okay, it's been unanimously adopted, the class specification for retirement specialist 3. So where do we go next, Johnny? Is
To
this
the retirement analyst, maybe?
And
That
that's
was the
adopted.
next in our page.
Okay, so we're adopting this specification.
Correct.
Okay. So do I have a motion to adopt the retirement analyst specification as printed here?
Also move.
Okay.
I'm
Second.
not sure. Did retirement analyst to what?
We're
It's
not-
a new.
We're
a new
just
classification.
adopting, yeah, we're adopting a new classification. We're not changing anything.
Okay, great.
Okay, you second it?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the retirement analyst specification as presented. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle, absent by prior arrangement, Commissioner Harden.
Aye.
Okay, it's been unanimously passed to accept the retirement analyst specification as presented. And now are we into the getting rid of specs yet, or we still have more?
We got the
One and three.
retirement financial investment officer. That's what I have next, Terry.
Okay. So that's another adopting, or is that a modification?
Modification
And title change.
and
Okay.
title change. Thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion to adopt the retirement title change and spec modifications.
Terry,
I'll make a
I just-
motion that we adopt spec changes and title change.
Okay, Marilyn?
I will second it, but I do have one little thing on this one
Okay.
too. Just a little thing, and that is under the minimum qualifications, the substitution. It talks about, you say additional and in parentheses, you say additional qualifying experience may be substituted for up to 2 years of the required education. And then I'm not sure whether there should be a colon before we went into the associate degree or not. There, I was a little confused with the reading of that.
Yes, probably should be, so that it shows the associate's degree as the example.
Okay,
Yeah, and I lost sight of it in the track changes.
that's okay. That's it. And
Okay,
that's-
so noted.
That's it. With that, I second.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to adopt the title change and modifications to the retirement financial investment officer, as printed and modified here at this meeting. So, roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Edson,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle, absent by prior arrangement, and Commissioner Harden.
Aye.
Okay, that title change and modification has passed unanimously.
And now,
Terry, Terry, the next thing I have is the
Senior.
abolishment of the senior retirement
Okay.
special.
Okay. So can we have a motion to abolish the senior retirement specialist classification? The classification is being abolished.
Also move.
Okay, we have a
I'll
second.
second. Yeah, I'll
Okay,
second.
Thank
It's
you,
been
Sherry.
moved and seconded that we abolish the senior retirement specialist classification. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evia,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle, absent by prior arrangement, and Commissioner Harden.
Aye.
Okay, it's been unanimously passed that we abolish the senior retirement specialist classification. So now we have some reclass of people. So that, and I guess you have to call those, Johnny, because I don't see them printed here.
Yeah, there. Go ahead.
You want to do them all together, or?
it's up to you. If you want to adopt the reclassifications of all three of them in one swoop, or if you want to do them separately.
Okay, ladies, do you have any preference?
Yeah, I'd rather do them separately.
Okay, we can do. So what's the first one?
1 administrative assistant to retirement specialist 3.
Okay,
Also move.
I'll second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we, what is it again? Reclassify, reclassify
One administrative assistant to retirement specialist 3.
one administrative assistant to special assistant 3, retirement assistant 3, our new classification.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call.
Oh,
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle, absent by prior arrangement, and Commissioner Hart.
Aye.
Aye. So it's been unanimously passed that we reclassify the retirement specialist 1 to a 3, retirement specialist 3.
No, it was the administrative assistant, wasn't
Oh,
it?
the administrative assistant, okay. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble remembering the whole
I think
scenario here.
This is really a lot to do in one, yeah, anyway.
So the next one is recommendation to reclassify 1 retirement specialist 2 to retirement specialist 3.
Okay. So we have a
Oh.
motion.
Yeah, I move that we reclassified retirement specialist 2 to retirement specialist 3.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we promote the specialist 2 to a specialist 3. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
and Commissioner Hart.
Aye.
Okay, it has been unanimously passed to reclassify the specialist 2 to a specialist 3. Okay, and then what's next?
Reclassify 1 senior retirement specialist to retirement analyst.
Okay, so that's the class we abolished to the new class. Huh? Okay, do we have a motion?
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we reclassify the senior retirement specialist to the retirement analyst position. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
and Commissioner Hart.
Aye.
All right, it passes unanimously to reclassify the senior retirement specialist to the retirement analyst position. Got any more?
Oh, that's it.
That's it. Well, thanks for keeping track of that. So we move on to 6B.
Okay, that would be me again, Johnny Krenner, Human Resources Manager. The next study is the Cultural Services Agency for museum classifications. Human Resources received a request for a classification study from the Cultural Services Agency to review their administrative assistant position in the museum. The position has been assigned technical museum duties in support of the museum curator, which are not part of the administrative assistant duties. During the study, it also came to our attention that the museum curator classification specification did not fully reflect the duties being performed, including the necessity that the curator provide technical and functional supervision over staff and volunteers, as well as the assignment of full first-line supervisory duties as needed. Additionally, the vacant program administrator position was reviewed. So I'm going to start with the program administrator. The program administrator position, which is currently vacant, was added to the museum in 2018. The program administrator is a generic classification designed to oversee a departmental program. The classification does not address oversight of the museum activities, including planning, promoting, and overseeing exhibits and activities, overseeing proper care of collections, and other types of duties. And the program administrator classification also does not address the unique duties performed in a museum or the educational and experiential requirements, knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to carry out the specialized nature of museum work. After review of the departmental needs, the duties, responsibilities, and necessary requirements to carry out the work, it is believed that the museum will be better served by a classification that is more specific and unique to museum work than program administrator. The classification of museum administrator has been developed and is recommended for adoption. So now that I'm to this part, I want to say, would you like me to stop so there can be discussion and you can make your motion and move forward? Or would you like me to
Yeah.
go finish down the other parts?
No, can we just talk about these one at a time, please?
Yes. Yes. So the recommendation then is that the museum administrator classification be adopted as presented or as modified by the commission.
So a couple years ago, I believe it was a couple years ago, the Cultural Services Agency was created, and there were 3 areas that were merged. One was museum. I think one was parks. Was another one parks? I couldn't remember the third though.
Libraries.
Libraries, that's what it is. And so this current vacant position, program administrator, did that person, even though it's vacant, was that position intended to oversee all 3 of those?
No,
Just the
That
museum.
So,
There used to be a museum director prior to the combining of the 3 departments. So the
Right.
program administrator was brought in to handle the day-to-day and the oversight types of duties that of the museum.
okay, of the museum. So how would the museum administrator differ from the program administrator then?
the program administrator primarily was responsible for educational programs. They were not in a position of oversight over all the staff, and they were only half-time because they worked the other half-time for the parks.
Oh, okay.
We want somebody in there full-time who can manage everything and apply for grants and things like that that the museum needs to move forward.
All
Someone
right.
with more specialized museum knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Huh. Okay, so I'm just curious, when you said that the original program administrator classification didn't address oversight of the county museum activities planning, which is what you're talking about, would be in this new position. So who did that? Who did those things? If the program administrator didn't?
I believe that the CSA director, Karen Horner, may have done some of it, but I think that a lot of it was just not done. The museum was allowed to get in a condition that it probably shouldn't have been allowed to get in.
Yeah,
And so now that we have Karen, our curator, she's done a lot of good work, and we want somebody in there to help move it even make it even better.
yeah, great. Thank you.
Marilyn?
Just want to ask a quick question. How many are at the museum in Willits?
We have 3 full-time employees right now, and
Okay.
if we can get this position approved, we would have 4 full-time employees.
So but you already had a point. What were the 3 full-time employees? What were those positions?
The curator,
Uh-huh,
and then the admit or the library or the museum assistant that we want to reclassify, And we have a librarian working there on the reference and research collection.
So, and they were all under the Cultural Services Agency. So, and where was wasn't the program administrator, even though it wasn't filled, wouldn't that have been the fourth position?
It was only part-time, yes. And she was only there for a very brief period, if I understand. I just came on board with the county in January and she was already gone by that point, so.
So if that position was supposed to do 0.5 parks and 0.5 museum, and now you're talking about making it a full-time museum position, who would do the 0.5 parks?
We don't have anybody doing it now. We haven't had anybody doing it for over a year. There has been some talk of moving parks to a different department. That could be an option.
Yeah, but the museum definitely needs it. That's a given. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Commissioner Ebim, also when positions are vacant and if you need to make changes, that's really the time to be making the changes. And so they do need to fill the position, and they could just fill it as a program administrator. But we believe they'd be better served if they were able to recruit for a museum administrator who, you know, knows that kind of work and has those qualifications.
Just in reflective mode, what did the consolidation of those three departments into this cultural thing buy us? Because now it kind of looks like we're recreating the museum in kind of its former mode. Was that a good idea or what?
That decision was made before my arrival. I can't speak to its value.
Okay.
I can say that they both the museum and the library each had their own director. And now there's one director. And
so administration consolidation, downsizing.
Yeah. So there was at least that one director overseeing instead of two.
So who would oversee libraries? Would this, if you have a reclass, if you have a classification of museum administrator, who would then oversee the library?
I still would be overseeing the libraries. I'm technically the county librarian and the Cultural Services Agency director.
Okay.
And on
I
a
know
point
that there was a lot of discussion when this Cultural Services Agency was created, because the taxpayers had agreed to fund with a special tax, specifically the museum. And so it's nice to see the museum getting this full-time position now, I have to say. I don't know the background, details of the finances, but anyway, yeah. I trust that, when you say that it's needed, probably is, yeah.
And on a reflective note, where's Art Kramer now that we need him? We actually had quite a parks at one time when I moved here. Okay, so we're talking now about needing a motion to accept the museum administration classification specification. Okay, Patrick?
I just wanted to comment on the job description. We're certainly supportive of having a full-time administrator for the museum. There's a lot of potential that is currently, I think, unmet from the museum. But I think one point that we'd like to see reflected in the job description is more clarity about this position's responsibility for helping develop some of the programs. Currently under the job description, it just talks about directing, overseeing, and participating in the development. It seems like this person's role would be helping actually develop some of the educational programming and some of the direction of the museum overall. Because currently I think the job description is a little bit vague in that score. Yeah, so that's sort of our main concern.
Okay,
Are you referring to a particular bullet point on here that you'd like to change, or?
Yeah,
what
so
is-
if you look at under the examples of duties and essential job functions, bullet point 4, if you were to add the word develop, so develop, direct, oversee, and participate in the development of museum work plans, comma, I would add educational programs, comma, and then continue from there.
If you want to specify educational, that's fine. It says projects and programs, but if you want to specify too, that's.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if I'm understanding correctly. Patrick, you say that you want them to develop, but it says that they participate in the development. And so if we put develop, direct, and oversee and participate in the development, then maybe I misunderstood what you said.
He wants us to add specifically educational programming.
I got that part, but I thought he said something about develop at the beginning.
At the beginning, yes.
Right, I think there's a difference between developing programs and developing educational programs and exhibits and things like that, and then developing the work plans to implement them. So part of what I would imagine, and I would certainly defer to the people who are directly involved with the museum on this, but helping to sort of identify ways to expand the museum services, ways to better connect with the school district. There's already a very robust program there that can probably be built on. That this person's role would be to help expand in that, figure out ways to better engage the general public and other organizations and entities in the community.
Yeah, I believe that's in bullet point number 3.
Yeah, just a suggestion, just so that it's clear that this person is the one helping with the visioning. And obviously the museum advisory board, is a great resource for ideas and suggestions and all that.
I like the word develop. I just wanted to make a comment. I'm Karen Matson, I'm the curator, and you were asking about the history of how the Cultural Services Agency came about. And I was at a lot of meetings when that was being developed. And one of the things that was constantly expressed is that we needed hands-on work at the museum. And so when I hear the word develop, it makes me think that this position is going to be involved in the day-to-day as well as oversight. And we really there's a lot of work that needs to be done at the museum. So I'd love for this position to be really involved in the hands-on and developing and taking things on and making sure they happen.
but Johnny, after this little discussion we have had, we're actually fairly substantial. Do you think maybe we should hold this and you can have a little meet and confer with some of these folks about it? Or do you feel you can put that together right now for adoption?
I don't think I can on the fly rewrite bullet points.
Yeah.
I can add in words here and there,
Right.
but if Deborah Fader Sampson, our library director, our Cultural Services Agency director, if she would like to us to go back to the drawing board with it, we could certainly do that. Or if the commission is going to modify and state what the modifications are, we can add them later. It's whichever is the pleasure of the commission and the direction.
So I have one thing I actually was going to bring up, which is not addressed here, and, you know, kind of just, we heard it and then it got dropped, which is the 0.5 parks position. And there's no recourse for losing that. I understand that the Cultural Service Agency director oversees libraries, but right now it feels that the parks are they're not being addressed in this reorganization. And that's a concern to me.
Well, I would suggest that maybe everyone who has the energy to flesh out these bullet points and this spec for this, which is an important classification, kind of, I don't know, back to the drawing board or
Right.
what.
I would, Terry, I would be glad to, if I understood, I would be glad to add it in that fourth bullet point to start with the word develop, and then after we say develop, direct, oversee, and participate in the development of the museum's work plan, semicolon, educational programs, colon, is that, and that, so you would just add educational, would that suffice what we're looking for here?
It would certainly address our concerns. Yeah, that we don't have other issues. We're very supportive of the full-time position. We think the museum deserves it.
Let's do that then. I
Again.
was thinking programs takes it all in, but we can specify educational.
Okay.
So is that,
So I would move with that correction, with those insertions, with that fourth bullet point.
okay? Do I have a second?
Well, my concern that I just raised, no one responded to it. The 0.5 parks, what will happen to our county parks? If currently it was under, even though the position was vacant, at least it was assigned to that position. But with this new classification, there is no one assigned to that position. And that's a concern to me, that there is no one assigned to the position of parks, overseeing parks, even at a 0.5 position.
There was no one assigned to that position prior to 2018 when they created the half and half position either. The facilities, people go out when something needs to be addressed. I am working on grant applications for state funding for the parks now. There never was, as far as I understand, a particular person devoted solely to doing that.
No, okay, but
Once
my
upon a
question
time.
is, if this cultural services agency was created and a position was created that had 0.5 parks and 0.5 museum, that to me that implies the thinking when this was created is that, yeah, we need someone to do parks. It wouldn't have just been created just to create it. So
Okay.
I would think that we still need someone to do it.
The executive office took that position away and told us that we could not refill it. So I believe that the executive office has plans to put the parks in another department. I don't know that for sure, but I've heard that. I haven't been given the official notice, but I believe that's what the plan is.
Well, I mean, I hear that there might be a plan, but in the meantime, there is no plan. And it,
I've
me-
been visiting the parks. I have been visiting the parks on my own and sending in purchase orders for picnic tables where there's one that's been dilapidated. I put in work order requests to have facilities people come out and remove it. When there's a problem with a bathroom backing up or whatever, it's the facilities people that we ask to do that. So it's not like they've been abandoned. They may have been neglected over the years, that's for sure.
I know, but it just makes me think of what we just went through with the first classification study, where people were being assigned to do duties that weren't in their classification. And it's wonderful that you're willing to do those things, but it doesn't sound like it's in your classification to do that. And I don't know, as a commission member, I would feel more assured if I knew there was someone that we could say is responsible to overseeing the parks as a classification, as a position. That's all. And this, I have no trouble with the program administrator position being classified to a museum administrator. I think it's wonderful, but I do have an issue with losing the 0.5 parks in the process.
We have requested another parks position. So if we keep the parks, then we're going to have another position for that. That was in our budget recommendations for the 21-22 fiscal year.
But there's no guarantee.
Well, if we keep the parks, then that's that's the plan. The parks. There's a plan if we don't keep the parks, and there's a plan if we do keep the parks.
I'm somewhat thinking that we can't solve this issue
Thank you.
with
Yeah,
with a class spec.
that's correct, Sherry. What we have before us, our purview today is looking at this particular new job spec. And, you know, it's that's our purview today. I don't think we can go outside and worry, you know, say that something like the parks was not added. I don't think that's within our purview of reviewing these class
No,
specs.
but the original program administrator position did include 0.5 parks. And by reclassifying it as a full-time museum, you're eliminating, just automatically, you're eliminating the 0.5 parks. That's a repercussion of doing this. And to me, it would have been really nice if this was brought, yes, let's reclassify a 1.0 museum administrator, and let's create the 0.5 parks position, however it is, but to do those together so that the parks aren't left in the dust. That's all.
Can I ask, I need to ask a question of Johnny. Johnny, is the other old class spec still there?
Yes, we're not asking to abolish it. And if the board takes action through the budget process to either move parks out of or fund it to stay in the cultural services, if there's an existing classification that the board can allocate, they will. If there's not, we will come back to the commission to develop a classification that is specific to the duties that the parks person would be doing. But the actual allocating of the position is the board action. What we're asking you today is to adopt the classification of museum administrator so that they can recruit and fill that vacant position that currently exists and is funded.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept museum administrator classification as
As
specified?
modified.
As
Right, as
modified.
modified today. So did we get the motion?
Yes.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the museum administrator classification specification as modified. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Hurd.
Aye.
It's been unanimously accepted, the museum administrator classification specification.
Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the administrative assistant and the study of that. In addition to administrative and clerical duties for the museum, the incumbent performs a variety of technical and exhibit work in support of the museum curator. Due to the small staffing levels of the museum, it is necessary that this position be assigned a variety of duties not addressed in the classification of administrative assistant. This is similar to retirement, where they need the positions to be a little more flexible. So we believe that the administrative assistant classification or position is not classified correctly. And on top of that, the person who's underfilling the administrative assistant as a staff assistant 2 is not only performing duties that are the level of the administrative assistant, but are they in support of the technical duties that in support of the curator and exhibit work. And so we don't believe that the incumbent is classified correctly as a staff assistant 2. So we have developed and are proposing the classification of museum technician that addresses the technical and other museum related work while also incorporating the administrative clerical aspects, and we are recommending it for adoption. And we also are recommending that the current incumbent staff assistant 2 be reclassified to the new museum technician classification.
Okay. We have a motion for accepting the museum technician classification specification. Marilyn,
Also move.
okay. Sherry,
I'll second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept.
And
it.
Terry?
Yeah,
Terry, oh, it's including in it is the reclassification of, along with the job specs, we're going to do the reclassification too of the
oh, you want to do that?
minutes. Or do we want to do that separately?
It's up to you.
Let's just
Very
do
good.
the incumbent along with it.
Okay,
So you want to do it all together? Okay,
okay, just include that in my motion.
okay,
So your motion is to adopt the new classification of museum technician and approve the reclassification of the incumbent staff assistant 2 to museum technician.
That's it.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay. Did you
Okay.
get that, Shelley?
Yes.
all right, roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Hurd.
Aye.
Okay, so that passes unanimously, the new museum technician classification spec and the reclass of the, I don't know, what was the former position?
The administrator assistant.
Administrative assistant. Okay. To the new technician position.
Yes. So the next item then is the museum curator. While we do believe that the museum curator is classified correctly, we believe that the class spec, which has not been updated since it was adopted in 2000, is in need of updating to reflect the technical and functional supervision it provides to staff and volunteers, and the assignment of full supervisory duties when necessary. And we've also updated the knowledge, skills, and abilities, just to kind of bring it up to with par with some of the other museum curator classifications we found and some of the expected minimum requirements of performing museum curator work.
Okay, so we need a motion to modification of the current museum curator classification specifications. Patrick,
We're in support, obviously, of properly defining the job classification, and we think this does a better job of that. But we do feel that there's significant enough changes in the job description to warrant a review of the salary for this position, and would like to meet and confer with the county regarding whether this is properly positioned based on its duties. The addition of supervisory responsibilities or the recognition of the supervisory responsibilities, I think, do trigger that.
That is part of the plan, and that is not part of the purview of the commission to discuss salary. So once the commission adopts, then we will notify the bargaining units of all the classification work for any salary recommendations. And since Patrick has brought it up, I would say that that's also a concern of ours. I would never say that in a public meeting. I would say it first to Patrick because that's the way you do those things. But since he brought it up, I will be in concert with him saying that a salary review is definitely in order.
okay. So do we have a motion to accept the modification of the class specification of museum curator?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we modify the museum curator class specifications as specified. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
and Commissioner Harden.
Aye. Johnny, did we get all the reclassifications voted on?
Yes, I think so. There's only the one incumbent that needs to be reclassed, and I think that's the other. Typically we haven't asked the commission to reclass the position itself when we create a new classification, but I did when there's an incumbent. I added these as reclassing the position because they're vacant. The program, the museum administrator / program administrator, but since it is vacant and doesn't involve a person, I think we're good to go.
So can I just ask one last thing before we move this agenda item, and it's back to the first one? I didn't ask when we were taking the vote, but so there is a parks position. There is a parks position, and it's in the budget to get that position filled. Did I hear that correctly?
Sounds like people are talking about it. I don't know that.
Well, I'm asking.
Asked for that.
What's that?
We have asked for that.
The budget hearings start June 8th. And so departments have submitted what they're asking for, but they theoretically won't know what actually gets adopted until the end of the budget workshops on June 8th and 9th. They'll adopt a proposed budget, and the following June 22nd, I believe they will adopt the final budget. But
Been requested. That's what I heard. Okay. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Sounds like the parks may rise again.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we ready for our third and final item, air quality.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel warmed up now.
Okay, again, Johnny Cranmer, Human Resources Manager.
Hey.
So Human Resources was conducting a study of various air quality classifications. Two of the people are in their current positions. And while the study is ongoing, the department is, I would say, suffering from some vacancies, which in talking with the Air Pollution Control Officer, Barbara Moed, we felt that the most important and urgent task was to get the vacant position classifications modified and get those positions filled. So number one, that the director has some assistance in overseeing the department and is able to provide have a position that can provide some supervision. She's currently supervising all staff. So the senior air quality specialist is a senior level classification in the air quality specialist series. It performs complex air quality enforcement tasks in a lead capacity and provides functional and technical supervision over staff. Currently, there is no full first line supervisor to supervise the air quality specialists and air quality technicians. All of the specialists, all the technicians report directly to the Air Pollution Control Officer. Modifications to the senior air quality specialists have been proposed that provide for full first line supervision of the air quality specialists and air quality technicians. In addition of supervision duties, the addition of supervision duties for a senior air quality specialist relieves the Air Quality Pollution Control Officer of the day-to-day supervision of all the staff. This allows her to perform more complex work associated with the overall management of the department, its programs, and its activities. And additionally, other proposed updates to clarify the responsibility of the most complex work and to assist the APCO with various activities. So that's the senior air quality specialist class spec being updated to include supervision and update it to, again, older classifications, things change, times change, technologies change, and this spec kind of brings it a little more into line with modern times and the tasks that they're performing. There's not currently a senior air quality specialist. The position is vacant, and the department would like to be able to recruit and fill this position. And this is the first step. And Barbara Moed is here if you have any questions for her.
Well, I just kind of have an odd question. If this is approved, whereby the supervision now becomes attached to this senior air quality specialist, a position that currently is not filled, relieving the APCO of the day-to-day supervision. Who would do the day-to-day if the APCO is relieved of this and there is no one that has filled this position?
She won't be able to be relieved of it until she fills that position.
Okay. The technical, yeah, thank you.
Yes, if I may.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically I'm
please
doing
do.
currently. And yeah, so I guess if I may, when I think of the organizational chart of the district, right now I have, we have two vacancies. So right now we have myself and a staff of 5. The 5 people are reporting to me directly because of these two vacancies. When we fill these vacancies, I will have 3 people reporting to me rather than 7, which will, if I may, allow me to get to responsibilities of the Air Pollution Control Officer that frankly, I don't have the time to do right now.
Mhm.
And some of those are mandated responsibilities. Some of them are interactions with the community stakeholders that I know my board of directors would like me to be spending more time at than I have time to spend right now. And I'm happy to entertain any, I hope this fleshes out a little bit more. For example, I'm the only one in the office that does work related to asbestos renovation and demolition, reviewing test results, signing off on whether things are appropriate, and sometimes inspecting the jobs. That is not getting done now because I'm the only one that is trained to do that at this time. So yeah, so it's a matter of trying to free up some of my time for mandated programs, mandated activities, that are not currently being done.
Yeah. Might it be easier to find someone to fill the position if, like with the last agenda item, with the curator, with the additional supervisory duties, while it's not part of the commission's purview to talk about compensation, this here, that was kind of the implication. So if you're able to offer a higher salary, the additional supervisory duties, it might be easier to fill. Is that reasonable to think that way?
Johnny, I'll defer to you whether this is a topic I should address or not.
We can always hope. Clearly, we're going to compensate people if we expect them to supervise. So a salary review will be part of this, finalizing this, but we can always hope when there's more money that it will attract people. I mean, we hope that for all of our jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Marilyn?
Yes, I just have a couple of things on the job spec that I have a question, and that is under the licenses and certifications. And I noticed that you have crossed out under must attend the ARP functional fundamentals of enforcement training, and also the ARP basic inspector academy. You've crossed out within 12 months of hire. Is this something that's just kind of open, or you don't have to have a timeline? Or
I probably should have fixed that. I think the intent was for the senior is that they would already have that upon hire.
Yes.
And so I need to cross out the must attend, but rather it would say ARB fundamentals of enforcement training and ARB basic academy. So they would have to come into the job with those things.
got it.
And
Okay.
the other license, they would have 6 months to get it.
Okay. Thank you. And then I just had one other little thing, and that is on the skills on the following page. And I don't know if this is a duplication, but I'm looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet down, exercising initiative, ingenuity, and sound independent judgment when making decisions within general policy guidelines. Is that a duplication of down below? You have used tact, discretion, initiative, and independent judgment within established guidelines. Is there a little duplication on those two? I don't know. It just sounded like a little duplication there.
They might be a duplicate. I'd have to look at them, and if you want to leave us with a motion to review that and modify as appropriate,
Okay.
or we can kind of flush it out right here. But sometimes you have to have a skill to do something, but you also have to have the mental and physical ability to do it, and those sometimes are opposite, or they seem duplicative, but they aren't necessarily. But that could be, and I can look at it with that eye.
If you would, thank you.
Okay.
That's all. And that's all. Otherwise, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, I guess what we're looking for now is a motion to modify the senior air quality specialist class spec.
And I'll move just with that.
And I'll say we can, and we should include as proposed by Commissioner.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we modify the senior air quality specialist modification classification specs. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Harden.
Aye.
Okay, it's passed unanimously that we modify the senior air quality specialist specifications as presented both on paper and in this meeting. So we have more,
Yes, one more.
one more.
The air quality program coordinator. This classification was developed in 2006 to perform all administrative tasks in the department, including budget development, monitoring and supervision of clerical and accounting staff. And back a little bit further in history, that position was originally an office services supervisor, and it was reclassified during a study by the commission in 2006 to air quality program coordinator. So because it was found to perform higher level duties than the office services supervisor. So in 2017, there was a classification study, and the position was again reclassified to air quality program manager. And with the retirement of the air quality program manager in 2020, the pollution control officer desired to make changes in the organizational structure that include the delegation of duties performed by the previous manager that should really be performed by the air quality specialist, which is one of the things that we did today, was update that spec and get that those things in there. And by redistributing those air quality specialist tasks over to the air quality specialist rather than the program manager, that the pollution control officer, Barbara Mode, would like to utilize the air quality program coordinator with the proposed modifications. And we're also proposing a change to the title to be air quality administrative coordinator, as the position does not coordinate the programs, but rather coordinates and supervises the administrative and clerical aspects of the department, which does include some program work, but the program the person would not coordinate the program. So the proposal is to modify the class spec and change the title from air quality program coordinator to air quality administrative coordinator.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Looks like
Well,
we're-
I'll so move
Okay,
to accept the proposed modifications to the air quality program classification and do the title change to air quality administrative coordinator. I don't think I quite got that right at the beginning, but I think it all came out.
I'll second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we retitle and modify the Air Quality Management District Program Coordinator to Administrative Coordinator class specification. Roll call.
Commissioner Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
and Commissioner Harden.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously, the change in title and the modifications to the air quality district administrative coordinator specifications.
Phew.
I have one question, which has nothing to do with these specifications, but seeing we have the director of the Air Quality Management District,
Yes.
I monitor the air quality that you can look online quite regularly, usually daily. And I noticed that around 6 or 7 in the morning, often there's a spike where it moves out of the good air. What causes that?
It's what we refer to as a temperature inversion, a vertical temperature inversion. In other words, colder air above is trapping warmer air below, and it basically it caps. There's less air movement at the Earth's surface than there will be later in the day when there's better vertical mixing. So once that inversion breaks up, which typically is, depends on the day and the location, but typically about 9 o'clock, you'll see that spike drop down. And in fact, that's why our recommended burn hours begin at 9 o'clock, because if people start burning earlier than that, we get smoke trapped close to the ground, and it's more disturbing to the adjacent people.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure.
Wow, great question, Terry.
I was curious. I couldn't think of why it was like that. I thought maybe it was the commute or something.
Yeah. Are you located in Willett, the Willits area?
No, I'm right near the library. I live in town, Ukiah.
Because
I'm in the Willits area.
we do
Why
see
do you
quite a
ask
spike
about
in
the
Willits.
Willits area? Why do you ask about the Willits area?
Well, this spike that Terry was referring to is actually more exaggerated in Willits than it is in Ukiah. And well, we moved our monitor recently, but there used to be like a barbecue place nearby. And then there's a locomotive going by. So yes. So if any of those activities are going on, it's exasperated by the temperature inversion, holding those emissions close to the ground.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, commissioners. William, Johnny.
I guess we're ready to move the agenda. And number 7 is other business, of which there is none. And number 8, Human Resource Director report, and he's here to report.
Good afternoon, commissioners. William Schurz here, HR Director. And actually, today I don't have a report for you.
Okay.
HR is just continually doing what we're doing, and nothing really new other than just continually working hard in doing what we do best. So there you are.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess we could stand adjourned then at 4:05.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Boy, over an hour's worth of work. That's
Woo.
1.5 hours, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah, I was going to say a little more than that. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to be blasting through these classification studies.
Yeah,
Thank you.
a lot of work.
Thank you.
All right.